So, namaste everyone. Welcome to the first webinar of Indic Studies Toronto for 2022. Last year, we achieved the goal of publishing 50 videos on our YouTube channel, which was possible due to our esteemed speakers and the support of you, our audience. We start 2022 with the topic, Solving the Mysteries of Ramayana, Decoding the Enigmatic Golden Deer. Our speaker today is Neena Rai Ji, who is the author of the Amazon bestseller book, Amazing Ayodhya, the Splendid Ancient City of Lord Ram. Neena Ji is a student of culture and history and publishes regularly on various media, including YouTube. Welcome, Neena Ji. Please continue.
Thank you so much, Panditji. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I thank everybody who has joined in. So I have a very interesting topic today, and the topic is of the golden deer. So one of the reasons I got this topic today is because the golden deer is talked about to death. Sita ji ko golden deer mila, and that was Mareech, and then the whole thing started. And when I was writing my book, when I was doing the research for my book, I glimpsed upon the explanation for the golden deer. And as I went into the depth of it, I realized that the deer was actually not golden. So, it's like I felt that I have been lied to all my life because I was always told that the deer is golden, right? So this is what my presentation is, and this is what I'm going to decode for you. Okay, so the deer was not golden. So what was the deer like? And I call this series Decoding the Ramayana, or solving the mysteries of Ramayana, because the deer is a mystery. Because the kind of explanation that's given to us, a lot of people are not able to make sense of it, even after they read the translated versions. So let's go ahead and take a look at my research. So how I generally present is that I have a portion. I try and look for pictures. So in the coming slides, you're going to see some pictures that I have conjured. And it takes a lot of time and effort to research these pictures. I don't have the copyright for these pictures. These are just to educate the public and share with them my research. The shloks are from Valmiki Ramayana, and I have taken the shloks in the original form and given an English explanation. A lot of my viewers, if I only speak in English, they object to it. They say, ma'am, please speak in Hindi so we can also understand. So I have put the translations in इंग्लिश और मैं जितना हो सकेगा हिंदी में भी एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश करूंगी so that जो हिंदी भाषी हैं वो भी समझ सकें, and the ones in English, those who speak English, they can also understand. So let's go on this beautiful journey where we discuss what the original deer looked like. So who was this deer? This deer is Mareech, who is the shapeshifter. So what is a shapeshifter? A shapeshifter, according to Itihas, is a person who can change himself according to his will. Okay, so Mareech transforms himself into a deer. Mareech is a Rakshas. He's a Mayavi Rakshas, and he transforms himself into a deer to lure Sita. And for those of you who are at all familiar with my book, Amazing Ayodhya, please take a look at chapter 29, which is the last chapter in this book, where I explain, why Sita ji wanted that deer. What did she want to do with the deer? So chapter 29 is the chapter I'm talking about, where I talk of the golden deer and Sita. Why does Devi Sita request Lord Ram to get her the golden deer? So you'll get the gist of why she wanted it. Now let's explore what was so magnificent about that deer that it totally charmed Mata Sita. Okay, so let's take a look. So I've already let the cat out of the bag. The deer was not golden. So what was it? So this is what we are told. ये हमें बार-बार बताया जाता है through various retellings of the Ramayana and TV shows that the deer is golden in color. So I went through a lot of images of the golden deer online, what other artists had conjured up. Okay, तो ये जो चित्र मैं आपको दिखा रही हूँ, ये गोल्डन डियर का जो डिस्क्रिप्शन है वो उससे सबसे करीबी डिस्क्रिप्शन है। और अगर मैं आगे जाऊंगी तो आप देखेंगे करीबी है पर करेक्ट नहीं है, इसमें भी कुछ त्रुटियां हैं। तो आपको मैं आगे दिखाती हूँ। इट्स ऑलमोस्ट इम्पॉसिबल टू ड्रॉ दिस डियर इन रियल लाइफ, बट I'll try my best to give you an image of what it looked like. And as we know it, this is not the correct deer. We've been told about it, and it's not even technically a deer. So what is the truth? सच क्या है? सच ये है कि ये एक मल्टी कलर्ड डियर है। वो एक रंग का नहीं वो गोल्डन रंग का है, बट वो मल्टी कलर्ड डियर है। और ये शायद आपको अभी तक किसी ने नहीं बोला होगा कि वो एक मल्टी कलर्ड डियर है। और डियर जो शब्द है वो भी गलत मैं यूज कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि अंग्रेजी में इसका कुछ और शब्द है। तो उसके रूप का मैं आपको थोड़ा सा रहस्य बता देती हूँ। संस्कृत में बोला है, स तु रूपम समास्थाय महत अद्भुत दर्शनम। महत अद्भुत दर्शनम, देखने में बड़ा ही अद्भुत है वो। एंड ये किसके बारे में बोल रहे हैं? मारीच के बारे में बोल रहे हैं। अडॉप्टिंग द फॉर्म ऑफ अ गॉर्जियस डियर, सो द क्लोजेस्ट ट्रांसलेशन दैट दे हैव टेकन इज अ गॉर्जियस डियर, बिकॉज इट सेज स तु रूपम समास्थाय, which is superbly amazing just by its appearance. So what do you mean by superbly amazing just by its appearance? It's something that really captivates you because it's so adbhut to look at. It just captivates you, captivates your attention, just charms you. And this is what happened with Sita. I think it would have happened with any one of us. We would all have been fascinated. So in this video, what we are going to discover is about this deer are its horns, its face, its color, its hooves, its skin, its stomach, its back, its tail, its neck, its teeth, ears, and backside. And then we'll also discover how did the other animals react to Mareech in his deer form. Please understand, this is a Rakshas. He's a shapeshifter, a Mayavi shapeshifter. A Mayavi means those who know this kind of magic where they can transform things. Maya, illusionists are called Mayavi. And so this man is an illusionist. He's a Rakshas, he's an illusionist, he's a shapeshifter. So he's shapeshifted into a deer. So let's go ahead. So the first thing that is again and again told to us is that this is a Mahamrig. And I'll show you the slide. We have a slide down below which talks about it being a Mahamrig. Now, in my book, again, I have explained what a Mahamrig is. So there is Mrig, and then there is Mahamrig. So any animal in the jungle is called a Mrig. Anything that has 4 legs and is like a mammal is called a Mrig. And what is a Mrigya? Mrigya, which sort of hunts animals. So generally it's used for wolves, and in certain places it also denotes beasts of prey, like for example tigers or lions, tigers, but generally denotes wolves. Why wolves? Because wolves and all these animals, they hunt the animals in the jungle. So Mrig is generally used for all animals in the jungle. When it is used specifically to describe a deer, then the word Mrig is used. And there are many types of deer. Now there are two, the whole species is divided into 2. So in English, we tend to call them deer, but then there is antelope and then there is deer. And I have explained the whole difference in chapter 28. So please take a look in chapter 28, Other Pets at Prince Ram's Palace, where I've explained that a Mahamrig is an antelope. And and what is an antelope and what is a deer, it's all explained. And in the present day India, I'm giving you examples of 3 antelopes. They are Nilgai, Chinkara, and black buck. So what we have is a picture of a black buck. So what does Valmiki ji tell us about this this Mahamrig? So he says, Mani pravar shringagraha, Mani pravar shringagraha, उसके जो श्रृंग के अग्र भाग हैं, श्रृंग के अग्र भाग. So if you take a look, the top portion of this black bug is a very dark shade. Okay, so it says whose tips of antlers are in the hue of the best of sapphires. Okay, so money generally sapphire के लिए भी use होता है कि best of sapphire, सबसे अच्छा sapphire जो बोला जाता है उसको वो generally इस तरीके का indigo blue color की shape में होता है. एंड इसके जो टिप्स हैं वो ऐसे हैं. अब किस एनिमल के ऐसे टिप्स होते हैं, तो हम एज पर इफ वी लुक एट ऑल द डियर्स एंड द एंटीलोप्स, सो ब्लैक बक इज द वन दैट comes closest to this. Okay, so that's why I put a picture of a black buck. And if you notice the black bucks, the tip is very dark in color. Okay, so and I've given a lot of explanation of the antelopes and deer in my book, so please take a look at it moving forward. So now you know what the horns look like. Then he talks about the face shape. So what does he describe in the face shape? It says sit asit mukhakriti. सित असित मुखाकृति. सित का मतलब और असित असित का मतलब होता है ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट, और व्हाइट एंड दैट इज नॉट व्हाइट. ओके, मुखाकृति. Now this has been wrongly translated, and this is the reason I'm doing this episode, I'm doing this talk, because when I read the English translation and even the Hindi translation, मुझे जगह जगह पे मिस्टेक्स दिखे. मेरे को छोटी छोटी त्रुटियां, मैं ये नहीं बोल रही कि पूरा ही गलत लिखा है, छोटी छोटी त्रुटियां मिली. And so that's why I wanted to come here and talk and explain to you what this line actually means. Now mukhakriti means the shape of the face, whose face is white in some places and black in some places. Now, if you take a look at this deer, this is actually a deer and not not an antelope per se. If we take a look at the antelope, you will notice the white patches on the face and then the blackishness. Okay. So this is what they mean by it's white in some places and black in some places. Now this has been wrongly translated to it has a black and white face, or it is spotted. It has black and white spots on its face. No, that's incorrect. Then it says about the face color. So it says, what does the face color look like? So it says rakt padmotpal mukha, in the shade of a reddish lotus. The word uses rakt padmotpal. Padmotpal ka matlab hota hai, rakt means red, which is blood red. Padma utpal, pad means a lotus, and utpal ka matlab hota hai jo purnatah se khila hua hai. So a blood red fully grown lotus, that's what is the color of its face. So what does a lotus like that look like? So this is a fully blossomed red lotus. So you can see it says that now the whole face is red, and in places the deer is black and it's white. And what it talks about is its eyes and it's the nose. So if you also take a look at a black buck, you'll see the reddish color in the black buck also. Then it says about its teeth and lips. Generally, deer have very bad teeth. I mean, most animals in the wild have bad teeth. Most, not all. So it says, tam ver ruchir dant oshkam. Now it says, okay, tam ver. So let's take a look. So I'm giving you the average picture of a deer's mouth. It's its teeth. So generally it's crooked and it's dirty. But what it means is that this deer is one with very pretty, very beautiful teeth and lips. Okay. Going forward, it says deer ears. So it says Indra Nilotpal Shrava, ears in the hue of bloomed blue lotus. So take a look at this blue lotus, and this blue lotus is this is a particular kind of lotus. And if you take a look at this lotus, it has these beautiful sharp blossoms. Its petals are very, very sharp and sharp. Now, if you take a look at this deer, this antelope, which is the black buck, you will notice that the ears are in a very, very similar fashion. Ears in the hue of bloomed blue lotus. Not only so take a look at the color of this this black buck. So you'll notice the blackness of the ears, and so it says that ye neele rang ke the, and jo ears the wo shaped bhi वैसे ही थे. Generally when they say कि it's like this, so its ear shapes are also like that. Now then it says किंचित अभ्युन्नत ग्रीव. अभ्युन्नत का मतलब होता है जो थोड़ा सा risen है, that which has a which is high up. So if you generally take a look at black bucks have upraised necks. So with a little upraised neck, this is what it means here. So it says, so it's pretty much describing some sort of a mutation of a black buck, which is a mahamrig. So mahamrigs are generally black bucks, like antelopes, like I said, and in particular the black buck. Now this is a very interesting part. The ventral portion is the stomach area of a deer, and it was very difficult to get this picture, by the way. So it says Indra Neela Nibha Udar. Indra Neela Nibha Udar. Indra Neel ka kya matlab hota hai? The ventral portion is the most sensitive portion for any animal. So animals, unless they're very comfortable with you, they generally don't expose their ventral portion. So the ventral portion is the inner side, the stomach side of the animal. So it says, Indra Neela Nibha Udar. Indra Neel. Now, Indra Neel ka matlab hota hai, aapne in sabne Indradhanush dekha hai. Everybody knows what the rainbow is like. Now, इंद्रधनुष का जो नील होता है उसे इंद्रनील कहते हैं, which means indigo. नील generally indigo को कहा जाता है. तो उसको लिखा है, उसके लिए लिखा है इंद्रनील निभ उदर. While the shine of its stomach is like that of a sapphire, Indraneel Mani. So somehow I found this picture of this deer which has a blue stomach. So this is what it said. And and you can read about the definition that is given. It says that the ventral patch section from the penis to the base of the neck of the two male red deer that were harvested in hunts. So in one of these, the whole stomach, the whole ventral portion is blue in color. So Mareech, when he transforms himself, this is what he has, he has transformed himself into. And so the stomach is a blue stomach. Now, can you imagine this antelope or this deer? And this is why it is a multicolored deer. So it has a blue stomach. It has a red face. It has white and black, patches on it, like I showed you. So this is an absolutely multicolored deer. And then it says about its backside. So what does the backside look like? So it says, sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the screen. So what does the backside look like? So it says, Madhuk nibha parshavaha कंज किंजलक sanibha. So every deer, every antelope has a very peculiar backside. Now I have put a picture of this deer with a very peculiar backside. Now its backside is never the same color of its body. Majority of the times it is not the same color of the body. It says the backside is shining whitish like the madhuk flowers. So which is the madhuk flower? तो जो जानते होंगे वो मैं उनको कहना चाहूंगी कि हमारे देश में मधुक का हिंदी में नाम ज्यादातर महुआ होता है. तो महुए के फूल की तरह उसका पिछवाड़ा था. तो आप अगर देखेंगे एक डियर को तो जनरली उसके बैक साइड पे एक छोटा सा पैच रहता है. नाउ इस डियर का जो पैच है, इट इज इन अ वेरी डिफरेंट शेप. So this one says that ये mahua के फूल के shape का था, and I've actually seen deers with a mahua shape at the back as well. So let's take a look at how a mahua backside deer looks like. And I just marvel at the depth at which Valmiki has explained this whole thing. I mean, every little detail of a deer or an antelope is paid attention to. So if you can take a look at this picture, this is what the backside of a deer looks like. And sorry, so this is the mahua flower. This is what I was trying to explain to you. And then after madhuk nibh parshav. Parshav ka matlab hota hai that which is towards the back. Parshav also means that is that which is towards the side. But in this case, it means towards the back side. So we saw the little patch on the back side. So it's very likely that the shape is like this mahua flower, which is made like this. And then it says Kanja Kinjalka Samnibha. Okay, so what does the other line mean? Kanja Kinjalka. So the overall color of the backside is similar to the Kanja Kinjalka. लोटस का जो अंदर का जो फिब्रिल होता है, जो pollen होता है, if you can take a look at this picture, that goldenish color. So I am just, I marvel at the way Valmiki takes examples from real life, and what he wrote thousands of years ago, we can even imagine today. So केसर जिसे हम कहते हैं, जो pollen होता है, वो ही लोटस का जो है, यही जो लोटस का जो केसर बोलेंगे या लोटस का जो पॉलन बोलेंगे, ये उस टाइप का उसका पीछे का कलर है. So now we know the shape and the color of the backside. And then it says राजीव चित्र पृष्ठ, and जो उसकी पीठ है, पीठ वो एक odd लोटस की पीठ की तरह है, लोटस की पीठ. So what does a lotus पीठ, lotus back really look like? So I'm going to share with you an unappetizing picture. So this is generally the parts of a deer. This is, and so what is the backside that they are talking about? So they are preferably, most likely talking about the rump and the loin side of the deer. So the back includes जो पूरी पीठ को include करता है, जो upper portion में होता है, जो rump वाला portion है, rump, loin, parts of shoulder, and a little bit of the neck. So this is what it explaining कि एक lotus के फूल की तरह ये ऐसे से उठा हुआ है. It's like a bloomed lotus flower, lotus petal. And then it describes the legs of the deer. So it says, Tanu jangha susamhatah. The calves are thin and thus very well cohered, a very balanced body, and pindali. Pindali, in Hindi we call it pindali, but for those who don't know what it means the shins. And so if you take a look at a mahamrig, or if you take a look at a black bug, you'll notice that they are very stick thin limbs. And so this is what he's explaining. And he says, it has these stick thin calves. It has these beautiful, but they're very well cohered. What it means by well cohered is that they are very, very finely balanced. They are very shapely. And they, what it says is susamhatah means that it's very well proportioned. It's a beautiful, deer. Now, if anybody takes a look at a mahamrig, now if you take a look at this picture, generally a black buck has a white portion underneath, and this is what has been, made opposite, right? It has a blue, stomach side, blue ventral side, right? So let's go further. This is a very interesting part. So it says, it talks about its hooves now. कहते हैं वैदूर्य संकाश खुर. खुर कहते हैं hooves को. In Sanskrit and Hindi both, khur is hooves. And it says, so what is Vedurya? Vedurya is the name of a place जहां से हमें cat's eye मिलता है, and in specific the gemstone is called cat's eye chrysoberyl. Now, I want you to pay particular attention to the hooves of a deer. Now, the hooves of a deer are different than the hooves of a horse. Please pay attention to the line in between the hooves. And in the next, and for those of you who don't know what a cat's eye looks like, I'm going to show you why he's talking about it like a cat's eye. And what he means by that. And a cat's eye, by the way, is greenish in color. Now here is the cat's eye. Now, if you go back and take a look, you will see the line that I'm talking about. The hooves are split from between. This is what Valmiki ji is explaining, that it looks shiny like a cat's eye. It's beautiful and shiny, and they are greenish in color, or they are similar to that. Now, this is a Vaidurya. So, पहले जमाने में क्या हुआ करता था कि जो जगह का नाम होता था और वहां से जो जेमस्टोन निकलता था उसको वही नाम दे दिया करते थे. So, Vaidurya is a place and it is famous for cat's eye gemstone. So, it is called Vaidurya only. Cat's eye is called Vaidurya. So, this is, and by the way, this is a very sought after gemstone. And it exhibits strong cat's eye effect and sheer detail. So those of you who've had cats and pets know, cats as pets, I've had cats as pets. So you know that their eyes actually look like that, okay? And this is why they're called, chrysoberyl cat's eye. And they are regarded the stone for Ketu in Vedic astrology. And it's not a very cheap stone. It's supposed to be semi-precious. So I've just given the price of an average cat's eye, a chrysoberyl cat's eye, which is, I find this to be quite a stunning stone. And this little stone is around 10,000 rupees. Now, this is another interesting part. So it talks about the tail. It says, Indra ayudha savarnena puchena urdhavam varajitaha, with an upraised tail. So this tail that you're looking at is an upraised tail of the deer, with an upraised tail that shone forth in a tinge equal to the weapon of Indra, namely the rainbow. So I had explained to you earlier, the weapon of Indra, the Indra Dhanush is the weapon of Indra, so to say. And it says that its tail is upraised. So you can imagine what a fascinating deer it must be, with an upraised tail, and it is tinged in the color of a rainbow. Now, I found it very surprising. I said, why the color of a rainbow? Is it something that fascinates people? Why would he talk about this rainbow colored tail? So for my picture search, I just searched the rainbow tail, right? You'd be surprised to know that there are so many people in this world who actually color the tails of their animals in rainbow color. So again, I'm going to go to the next. Before I go to the next slide, I just want you to take a look at this, and I want you to take a look at its upright tail. So it says the tail is upright, standing up, and it is tinged in the color of rainbow. Now, this is somebody's pet dog, and I've just kept it for effects. See. And the internet was full of numerous pictures of people who had colored their pets' tails in the rainbow color. So I just wanted everybody to take a look at this and see what a rainbow colored tail would look like. And now imagine that on a deer, and that is an upraised tail. And then this is where the skin color comes in. So what does this skin color tell us? So it says it's a very shiny skinned deer. So what does that say? I mean, what does that what is the word? What are the words in Sanskrit? So it says, Ropyeha binduha shataiha chitro bhutva cha priya darshanaha. Ropyeha bindu shataiha. Shatai ka matlab hota hai hundreds. एंड रौप्यः बिंदु, रौप्य का मतलब होता है जिसे रोपा गया है. तो whenever we plant little saplings and then those little saplings come out, जिसे हम अंग्रेजी में sapling जिसे कहते हैं, या हिंदी में हम जिसे अंकुर कहते हैं, जो छोटे छोटे अंकुरित होते हैं. तो वो जो रोपा हुआ है, those little plants that have come out, या जो रोपा हुआ है, रौप्य बिंदु उसे कहा जाता है. तो उसके ऊपर जैसे छोटे छोटे प्लांट्स जैसे जैसे उस रोपा गया हो, पूरे उसके बदन पे hundreds and hundreds of these dots were there. And so this is what it translates to. And with hundreds of silvery stipples, so this is what stipples means, and with hundreds of silvery stipples of body, he became an astonishing deer with pleasant looks. So bhutva ta priya darshana. Priya darshan means very pleasant looks, that which is, that has got lovely looks. So this is what stippled looks like. I just put this image so you know कि कितने fine छोटे उस पे dots थे. So this is what is called raupya. These are called stipples in English, and इसे raupya कहते हैं. Raupya का मतलब होता है to be planted or sown or transplanted. So वो छोटे, before you plant something, तो वो छोटे अंकुरित छोटे पौधे होते हैं, तो वो एकदम इसी तरह दिखते हैं. So those of you who have a lot of interest in gardening or farming, you would exactly know what I'm talking about. Then it talks about the skin. So it says manohar snigdha varne, मनोहर स्निग्ध वर्णो रत्नैः नाना विविधैः वृतः. Now this is where things get interesting. With a complexion that is lustrous and dappled with many diverse gem-like dapples. Many diverse gem-like dapples. So what are the Sanskrit words for it? Nana means various. Nana vidhaiha vritaha. Okay. So ratnaiha क्या है? रत्न होते हैं, ठीक है? And nana types of ratna. So diverse रत्नों से उसकी पूरी body जो है वो मतलब उसके colors से भरी हुई है. And then it says, but why? And क्यों ये इतना exciting है? ये क्यों इतना सुंदर है ये? And it says प्रलोभनार्थम वैदेह्या नाना धातु विचित्रम. Again it explains it, because उसे वैदेही को because उसे सीता जी को प्रलोभन देना है, उनको चार्म करना है. तो उसका जो स्किन है वो वेरियस ओर्स, डाइवर्स ओर्स के कलर में है. ये डाइवर्स ओर्स क्या है, डाइवर्स धातु क्या है, ये जेम लाइक डैपल्स क्या है, we'll figure out in the next slide. So please take a look at this slide very, very intently. It says raupyaiha bindu shataiha chitro bhutva cha priya darshanah. Then it says rupya dhatu tanuruham. Rupya धातु, रुपया चांदी को बोला जाता है. रुपये जिससे हम चांदी, जो हमारा रुपया पैसा होता है, जनरली पुराने जमाने में रुपया जो होता था वो चांदी को बोला जाता था. और ये कह रहे हैं रुपया धातु. So it sort of translates to silver ore or the metal silver. Generally silver ore को कहा जाता है. इसमें उसी का translation भी दिया हुआ है. So I searched all sorts of silver ores that I could find on the internet. The ones that looked like it had stipples on it. And these are the pictures I got. So if we find silver gold ore, so if you take a look at the top right picture, it is silver gold ore. Now, if you take a look at silver lead ore actually looks very beautiful. It is exactly what the little stipples all across, all across it, very, very shiny, very attractive. And on the left-hand side, we have silver ore which has gold and copper in it. So whenever there's copper, you can make out the gold in it. And whenever there's copper, wo thoda greenish tinge aa jata hai. So you see, it is a beautiful multicolored ore, silver ore, or, multicolored ore that we can find. And this was one of the closest that I could find to what Valmiki ji is describing. So if you take a look at this, you'll get an idea of how beautifully stippled it was on the on the body. And that's what its a body looked like. Very, very beautiful. That's how the skin looked like. And then again, it talks about the overall appearance. So now I've given you in detail what its ears look like, what its mouth look like, face looks like, what its face structure look like, everything. You've been given a very, very in-depth detail of it. And then again, I'm going to recap it for you. So it's a mahamrig, which is like an antelope, and closest to the black buck. And it says, Satu Rupam Samasthaya Mahat Adbhut Darshanam. It is absolutely adbhut to look at. And obviously the kind of description I've given you, that deer, it resembles a deer, but it still looks adbhut. And no wonder Sita ji got charmed. And then it says, Ratna Mayam Mrigam Mukta Mani Vichitra Angam. The deer which is completely gem-like, Ratna Mayam Mrigam, completely gem-like, and whose body parts are as surprising as those studded with pearls and gems. Mukta Mani. Mukta is pearl and Mani is gems, sapphires and other things. विचित्र अंगम, उसके अंग इतने विचित्र हैं जैसे कि gems उसकी body में studded हैं. So this is what the overall appearance of the deer is, and it's multicolored gems and not only golden in color. I think that people who've done this translation just to make it easier, they've said that it is a golden deer, but it is actually a multicolored deer. And so it's in the jungle. And so how do the other animals react to this deer, right? It says, Samud vikshaya cha sarve tam mriga ye anye vane charaha upgamya samagraya vidravanti disho dash. Disho dash ka matlab hota hai dason dishaon mein. At the other, all the other animals moving in that forest, on seeing the demon deer with their necks up, have come close to it. And on smelling it, well, they were running away to all the 10 directions, noticing it as a demon turned into a deer. Okay, so if you have ever noticed the behavior of animals, so जब एक नया animal आता है ना किसी की territory में, तो सारे जानवर उसको ना सूंघने जाते हैं. So all the animals go and smell. So if you notice animals, they'll always be sniffing each other. So with sniffing, their territories are marked with their scents. So that's why they will sniff each other. And that's why you'll find cats and dogs sniffing each other's pees, because urine, because this is how they mark the territory. And so all the animals in the jungle, they're attracted to it. So they're going and smelling this deer. And on smelling this deer, they are running away in 10 directions because they know that abhi to ye bahut behave kar raha hai, par ye hame kha jayega, because it's a Rakshas. And it doesn't smell like a deer and it smells like a Rakshas. And for those of you who are wondering what are the 10 directions, so the 10 directions are the 8 directions that we have on a flat surface, and up and down are the 2 directions, and in total they become 10 directions. तो 10 दिशाओं में उसको सूंघ के ये सारे के सारे भाग जाते हैं. So this is the reaction of the jungle animals to this shape-shifting deer. So that is it, and I wanted to make this a very short and small talk on a deer, जिसके बारे में हम लोगों ने इतना सुना है. पर कभी भी हमें इनके इसके बारे में बहुत डिटेल्स नहीं है, और हमें हमेशा बोला जाता है कि ये सुनहरा मृग था, सुनहरा मृग था, पर ये सुनहरा नहीं, नाना रत्नों के रंगों में रंगा ये मृग था, जो दिखने में रुपए धातु की तरह चमकता था। रुपए धातु जनरली सिल्वर होता है, और अगर मल्टी कलर्ड ओर हो तो मैंने आपको वो मल्टी कलर्ड ओर की भी पिक्चर दिखाई। So I hope you've enjoyed this. I regularly take out videos on, the Ramayana and Itihas on my YouTube channel as well. So you may follow me there for more such videos. And I'm open to any questions if anybody has.
Thank you, Neena ji. That was a wonderful presentation. We'll now open the floor for talks. So if you wish to ask any questions to Neena ji, you can raise your hands or you can type your question in the chat window. And we have Abhishek ji. I will unmute you. Please go ahead, Abhishek ji.
नमस्ते। मान भार्गव श्रेष्ठ दीदी जी की जय हो, उनको कोटि कोटि नमन हो। मेरा कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है, बस मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि दीदी जी की ग्रेट नॉलेज को सत सत नमन है, और सभी हिंदुओं को आप पे गर्व है, और आपने बहुत ही सुंदर वर्णन ये मृग का दिया, और जो सबके ऊपर मतलब एक ये था कि मतलब वो स्वर्ण मृग था, उसका भ्रम को आपने हटाया, और आपकी महान रचना, महान किताब अमेजिंग अयोध्या मैंने पढ़ी है, और बहुत ही अच्छी किताब है, और सभी हिंदुओं को उसको पढ़ के उस पे गर्व होना चाहिए, और आपको बहुत बहुत नमन, आपने बहुत ही अच्छा कहा।
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you so much. I can see some questions also. Just before we take somebody else's question, RR has messaged that I thought Indra Yudha was a thunderbolt, the weapon of Indra, shiny and white. Yes, you're right. Indra Dhanush bhi hota hai, which is a weapon. Dhanush is also a weapon. तो इसीलिए उसे इंद्र धनुष का एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया हुआ है, उसको रेनबो बनाया हुआ है उसके टेल को. दिस इज द रीजन दैट एक्सप्लेनेशन इज गिवन.
Prasad ji, please go ahead.
Thank you, Neena ji. Excellent presentation. So Mareech was a shape shifter, you said. So what would be the realistic episode, when the deer coming in this golden or multicolored deer coming in and taking away Sita? What would be the realistic explanation of this episode?
I didn't understand you. You're saying that a human cannot shape shift?
Well, yes, that is one thing. And then second is, of course, Sita crosses Lakshman Resha, and then, they disappear. It's basically she's kidnapped later on. So
Yes.
what would be the realistic scenario in all this?
So I'll tell you what really happened. So I'll give you a very brief of what happened. The reason Mareech turns into a deer is because Ravan says, either you turn into a deer or I am going to kill you. So he didn't have any. So Mareech, and I have a video on my YouTube channel and it's in Hindi, and it says, Ram naam se kya आपत्ति है, लोगों को राम नाम से क्या आपत्ति है. If you will read that Ram Naam Se Apatti, it is, I have a shlok from the Valmiki Ramayana there, where it says that Mareech is begging Ravan, don't send me to this. मेरे को र नाम सुन के बड़ा भय लगता है. तो क्यों लगता है, तो उसमें उसने एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है. जहां भी मैं र सुनता हूं मैं एकदम भयभीत हो जाता हूं. ठीक है. So Mareech knows he has no option. He turns into a mrig, he's going to die. He doesn't turn into a mrig, he's going to die. So Mareech knows his death has come. So he turns into this deer because, at the end of the day, Ravan is his king. So he has to obey the king. He obeys the king. And in the Valmiki Ramayana, so I have only decoded the golden deer, and I'm claiming that it's not so golden with the description that's given, here. In the Valmiki Ramayana, it talks about all the antics. So what it does, it keeps, roaming around, running, eating, hiding, appearing, all to catch Vaidehi's attention. Okay. And then once it catches its attention, she says to Ram, please go get the deer. And in the original Valmiki Ramayana, there is no mention of the वो जो रेखा है, जो लक्ष्मण रेखा, ऐसा कोई वर्णन नहीं है. वो राम जी जाते हैं, राम जी को जब वो उसको चीख सुनाई देती है उनको, तो सीता जी लक्ष्मण को जबरदस्ती भेज देती हैं. एंड तो फिर लक्ष्मण जाते हैं वहां पे. ये है रियल लाइफ में. दिस इज व्हाट हैपेंड इन रियलिटी, एंड बाय रियलिटी आई मीन द वाल्मीकि रामायण. नाउ इफ यू आर टॉकिंग ऑफ शेप शिफ्टिंग things, even I don't know, and that is why he's called a Mayavi Rakshas. So that era talks about all these things which are very strange. And shape shifting is not something that is only peculiar to ancient Hindus. So if we know about Merlin and King Arthur, so Merlin was the wizard of King Arthur. So even in their histories, ancient histories, or whatever you might want to call it, there is this whole concept of shape shifting. Now we can't go and argue that somebody didn't become a deer, or somebody didn't send a mirage, or somebody didn't do that. I have read certain things. It's very complicated to follow, but it does talk about shape shifting and all of that. I haven't really bothered to experiment with it. So I hope I have satiated your curiosity to some extent.
Anandji, please go ahead.
Neena ji, thank you very much for a very enlightening session. A number of doubts are cleared. I also had this doubt because one of the things that in Ramayana, Vali follows Dundubi into a guha. It is given as a guha. And when it is given as a guha, it cannot be explained why Vali cannot move that stone from inside. So that doubt also I have. Here you said Mareech was afraid of R.
नहीं, मैं क्यों? Mareech was afraid of Ram. So I maybe I wasn't so clear. तो वो एक अगर मुझे राम के नाम से भय है, तो आप वो देखेंगे वीडियो तो शायद और क्लियर हो जाएगा. तो वो कुछ भी रकार का नाम सुनता था, उसको लगता था ये राम का नाम ले लेगा, और फिर उसको ना उसके मन, वो इतना डरा हुआ था राम जी से कि वो र सुनता था. जैसे रथ किसी ने बोल दिया, वो रथ नहीं, र, बाप रे बाप, र कहीं राम ना बोल दे. रत्न, रथ, कुछ भी र से भी शुरू जो नाम होता था, उसका ये कहने का मतलब है कि राम के नाम से वो रकार का नाम, मतलब रकार सुनते ही वो घबरा जाता था. वो वेट नहीं करता था कि उसके नेक्स्ट में क्या आएगा. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. Thanks a lot. One more question here. Mareech was the mama of Ravana, right? So he should be the elderly one and should be giving him elderly advice rather than being afraid of him.
He gives him elderly advice. He actually gives him the advice of what a king should behave like, which Ravana doesn't follow because he doesn't listen to anybody.
Okay,
he does.
got it.
In the Valmiki Ramayana, there is shlok after shlok after shlok after shlok on how a king should behave. And Mareech warns him that what you're going to do is going to wipe out the race of Rakshasas from this earth. Please don't do this. You are going to bring doom to your whole kingdom. Even the good Rakshas who don't kill and and who are into puja part, ye bhi mar jayenge. Puja part wale bhi mar jayenge. Please don't do this. So he actually does that, and Ravana doesn't listen. Ravana says, either you do this or I'm going to kill you here. So he doesn't have an option. And please understand why Mareech has been sought after. So Mareech, after he had engaged with Ram a little bit, वो पूजा पाठ में चले गए थे. पूजा पाठ में चल के उन्होंने सिद्धियां प्राप्त की थी, या पहले से ही थी सिद्धियां, मुझे नहीं पता, उनका उतने डिटेल में नहीं बताया है. तो वो सिद्धियों को प्राप्त करने के बाद उनको एक this super power was given to them wherein he could shape shift. This is the reason Ravana comes to the jungle, singles out Mareech because he's the man for the job, and then tells him to behave in this manner. And why only a deer? Please understand why only a deer. That you will know if you read my book, chapter 29. Why only a deer? He could have become a cow. He could have become, a peacock. He could have become something else. But why a deer?
Sunil Kumarji, please go ahead.
My question is, what are the accounts of the deer in, say, other regional versions of the Ramayana in ancient times? Like Kamban wrote in Tamil, there were Ramayanas in Assamese. We all know Valmiki is the Adi Kavi, so yeah, we respect him for that. But there was a famous essay by K. Ramanujan or something, 300 Ramayanas, and we have Jain versions of the Ramayana also, the Buddhist versions of the Ramayana also. And I read recently Anand Neelakantan's book where Ravana is portrayed as a hero. So he takes an account from, I think, some Jain Ramayana where Ravana is actually the father of Sita. So that is a very different take, and he's tried to make it contemporary, and he's saying that Mareech is wearing a garb or something. It's not exactly shape shifting to a deer. So I was just wondering what in ancient times, because we know people were more reverential and devoted then. So are there some other accounts of golden deer as to why did Ramanand Sagarji with his famous televised Ramayana, which serves as a template for most, I'm not saying scholarly experts like you, but lay people. So that was my question in short. I think you got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So there are many versions of the Ramayana, and actually I have a talk on this. The Indic Club had hosted a talk, and I explained why this has happened. So there is something called translation, and there's something called transliteration, transcreation. Now in transcreation, what they do is they take the original story and then they create something else so that they can relate to the current era and they can fascinate the mind of the current era. This not necessarily be the truth. So the Jain Ramayana, and that is why we have 300 Ramayans, and every version, more than 300 Ramayans, 300 is like a minimal number that we are taking. So there are so many Ramayans, and this is the reason why we have so many versions of the Ramayana, because everywhere they went, they twisted it to suit their narrative. Their narrative need not be the truth. And this I've seen repeatedly with everybody. Since I was a young girl, I was listening to Katha Vachaks. I saw the same thing being done with Katha, the Katha Vachaks also do that. You see, when you're talking to an audience, you have to speak what the audience will like. So in order to be either popular, in order to put a message, and in order to be contemporary, the Ramayans that have come, they've had changed versions. And this is why you find so many other Ramayans with so many other, descriptions that includes Raman and Sagar. And another thing I would like to say is that the Sita Swayamvar is talked about and discussed in so much detail that everybody thinks that there was a Swayamvar. And if you read the Valmiki Ramayana, there was no Swayamvar. The Swayamvar never happened. Ramji went to Janak ji's, he was already there, so he went there and he asked to see the Dhanush. He went and he asked for it. So Janak ji says that, I hope you know that if you see the Dhanush and if you're able to pick it up, my daughter will be given to you as, in hand for marriage. And he says, yes, I know that. I mean, he accepts it. So there was no Swayamvar either. Ramji just walked up, saw the Dhanush, picked it up, and then they got married. Do you know that inki kundli yahan bhi nahi mili thi, so called aaj ke zamane mein. So, na kundli mili thi, and दशरथ जी को न्यूज गया था कि आपकी बेटी की शादी तय हो गई है, आप आ जाइए। आओ देखो न ताओ, दशरथ जी ने कहा ये कितने शुभ समाचार है, तैयार करो, कल हम निकलेंगे, और जाके शादी करवा दी थी। There was, the kind of drama we see today, and I soon I'll have a presentation, a small presentation on this as well, which I'll share on my channel. So there are so many things that are made up that the truth actually sounds like fiction today, because you're so used to the lies that we are being told. I can't say the exact reason why they did this, but I know they did this, and it's called transcreation. Or, in other words, creative liberties. I hope that answers your question as well.
Amit ji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Neena ji, it was a great presentation. So again, I'm actually, rather than a question, I have something in support of what you just said about this question that came in from Sunil Kumar ji, that, because historically it happened such a long time ago, to help, keep the story alive over thousands of years, there have been, additions to the, to the story. And one of the biggest, I would say, a difference, or maybe a point which should be noted, is that in the original Valmiki Ramayana, Ram is called Maryada Purushottam. However, over thousands of years, he has turned into the Prabhu. And most recent example is Tulsidas ji's his Ramayana, where he is called Prabhu. Prabhu here in terms of his God or Lord, right? So you have Valmiki Ramayana as historically he was a man who performed great deeds, and he was a Maryada Purushottam. But over the years, you have been, he's attained the exalted status of a avatar, or a Deva Purush.
But I'll tell you what, in the Valmiki Ramayana, since the beginning, Sita ji is referred to as Lakshmi, and Ramji and his brothers in totality are referred to as Vishnu. So Vishnu and Lakshmi, and who is Prabhu? Prabhu is the one who looks after us. So in a way, they are not wrong in saying that, because there is a whole description, wherein Ravana, when he abducts Sita, and what does Sita wear? Sita is wearing yellow clothes. She's always wearing yellow clothes. Who wears yellow clothes? Lakshmi ji wears yellow clothes. And top to bottom, she's decked with jewelry. Okay, so she's like Lakshmi, and she's being abducted. And so obviously Ram is Vishnu. And even in the beginning of the Valmiki Ramayana, in the Balkand itself, when the 4 sons are born, it says that all of these are 1/4 Vishnu. So all of them are Vishnu. So actually, repeatedly, it is Valmiki who, he acknowledges that this is God in a human form. And so if it is God in a human form, he's going to behave like a human. And he has the emotions of a human, especially a Rajasic human. Or who's a Rajasic human? The explanation of a Rajasic man is a very passionate man. I'm just giving you a brief explanation. For anybody who wants the qualities, they can take a look at the Gita. And right in the beginning of the Valmiki Ramayana, it says, these are the 14 to 16 qualities of Ram Bhagwan. And he says, I want to meet this man. Narad and, they have a discussion. So he says, I want to know about this man. So this is how the whole Valmiki Ramayana begins. So yes, he is an absolute human. But even though we respect his human form, there's always this thing from the back that he's actually Vishnu and she's Lakshmi. They're also Vishnu Lakshmi because they're the king and queen. Or ye praja ka palan poshan karte hain. And also that, if you abduct Lakshmi, and I've tried to explain this in my book also towards the end of it in Phalshruti. And if you steal somebody's Lakshmi, uska kya hota hai, kisi ke paise chori karoge, to uska kya natija niklega. I've tried to explain it. So I hope this little thing is also there. While he's human, it's always that he's, it doesn't say directly that he's an avatar, but he says it's Vishnu and it's Lakshmi, it's Vishnu and it's Lakshmi. So the Prabhu bola to, it's almost the same. They're not deifying, Ram doesn't have any sort of magical powers where he can transform himself. He's a normal human being with normal emotions. He's just a very skilled warrior and a very good strategist and a very, very passionate man. And he loves Sita to death and respects and loves his father to death. So this is why he does the things he does. I hope that, I hope that, helps you too.
Dinaji, there's some questions in chat. Would you like to look at them and see if you can answer any?
Okay, then it says, there's a question, the smell of the demon described in the Ramayana, like pungent or compared to something that we know in the modern world. You're right. I haven't really paid attention to the smell of demons, but demons have a particular smell. And this is why wo usko smell karke na, when the other animals are smelling it, wo daso dishaon mein bhag rahe hain. So if you see, when you shock an animal, it jumps up, some animal hides down, and so, they all scatter around. So this is the reason that it's given, because they can smell the demon. Pungent or not, I cannot say, but yes, demons have a particular smell, and this is why the animals can smell them. Thank you for the aesthetic approach, which has enlightened us and has encouraged to read Valmiki Ramayana in a deeper way. Wonderful new approach to read Valmiki's writings. Thank you. Did you come across the shlok at the end of Valmiki's description where he says specifically that the deer was golden? I distinctly remember hearing about a line saying the body was basically golden and that layers of colors were appearing across it. So in the Valmiki Ramayana, see whether it has, so what it means by a golden, maybe a golden sheen. I showed you the color of the dhatu. So again and again it says Rupya dhatu. Rupya dhatu is silver ore. Rupya is silver. And I showed you the various colors of silver ore. So silver with gold and copper ore, silver with, the lead ore, silver with gold ore, how these ores, they look like. The description again and again that I read was that it was multicolored, and in certain places it says rupya ke color ka tha. Rupya is generally silver. What it basically means is shiny, very shiny. So you could take shiny as golden, you could take rupya. So the third ore that I showed you, it had gold in it. So you could take it as golden, but it was multicolored. And why was it multicolored? It was multicolored because, of the description of the eyes, the nose. That is why I went into the depth. It had a red face. It had white and red patches on its face. It had a dark blue inner body. It had a multicolored Indra Dhanush tail. So, these are very strange markings for a deer. So this is the reason I'm calling it multi-deer. It could have, shown golden in light, but सुवर्ण मैंने ज्यादा नहीं देखा था. मैंने रुपया नाना रत्न ये दो मैंने descriptions देखे थे. So I hope that is clear. Possible overall appearance of the deer. Did you think about having the possible picture of the deer in the presentation? You see, it was so fascinating that I couldn't, I'm an artist, but yet I couldn't really think how would I make the skin appear shiny. And because I didn't want to mislead people, you see, when we work with colors are also different. Now red on paper looks something very different. So I was just trying to, as just a joke, I was trying to make a red deer. So, if I make red on paper, this is what it will look like. And we don't even have like proper faces or, mahamrig jise kehte hain. That's why I use pictures, because in the colors that I have, even with sketch pens or, whatever, they just were not doing justice. So that's why I made this presentation, because it was so fascinating. And the colors, I thought I might as well show you the colors of the ores, and I show you what stipples look like. So, you can use your imagination to think what it would look like. And it's really fascinating, to be honest. So I thought if I made something, it wouldn't do justice. So that's why I have so many images. Thank you. So that's it, everybody. If anybody has any more questions, I'm very happy to solve them for you. I wanted to keep this a very short and sweet presentation, just to sort of decode the so-called golden deer and share. So my aim of doing this is just sharing what I have read and sort of demystifying, and solving these little mysteries of the Ramayana. And, in this portion, I thought I'll decode the deer for everybody. So I've just shared whatever I know. I know one of you doesn't agree that the tail is like the Indra Dhanush because he thinks it's like a thunderbolt. Well, the descriptions they clearly say that it looks like a Indra Dhanush, because both the Dhanush and the Vajra, the bolt, are the weapons of Indra. So you could go either ways on which is a weapon and what is fascinating, because the deer is already multicolored. So that's why they're saying that the tail is multicolored.
I wanted to know the title of your book and where is it available?
Asha ji, the title of my book is Amazing Ayodhya, the Splendid Ancient City of Lord Ram. And in this book, I take you to through the whole history of Ayodhya, from who established Ayodhya to also why did Sita ji ask for the golden deer. So this is all covered in my book. You can order it online on Amazon. And for those of you who want signed copies of my book, you can order it from Bahari Sons India. I'm going to give you the name and number of the person you can call. His number is, his name is Mithilesh Singh, and he works for Bahari Sons. And his number is +91 99 684 57200. So +91 99 684 57200. That's Mithilesh Singh, Bahari Sons. If you want a signed copy, you can order, you can just call him and ask him, or WhatsApp him and ask him, and he'll send across a signed copy to wherever in the world you are. So otherwise, you can take a look at Amazon. Amazon also delivers. I hope I've answered you, Asha ji.
Thank you, Neena ji. I think we have run out of time. It was a very fascinating presentation, and you have given us a new perspective of Ramayana. And I would encourage the audience to read Neena ji's book and view her various videos on YouTube on Ramayana and other topics. And we look forward from the audience to attend our next webinar, which we will announce soon. And thank you again, Neena ji.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having me, Pandit ji. Namaste. Jai
Namaskar.
Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Namaskar.
Namaste.